Hello everybody, Angel Arts here, and this video is part of my 2-year LP anniversary. Um, in my last shoutouts video, I had announced that not only did I hit 1,500 subscribers, which again I am so eternally grateful for every single one of you out there for that. I also just recently hit 2 years of my LP videos earlier this past March of 2014, and I was going to do two things, and one of the two things that I was going to do was to have another Q&A session because I had so much fun with it last year. So thank you very much everybody who sent me questions. There are fewer of you this time than there were last time, which is perfectly okay. I'm perfectly cool with that, and hopefully you guys will be able to learn a little bit more about myself and also learn about some things that are coming up for my channel, because some of you are asking specifically about that kind of stuff as well, which makes perfect sense too. So I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I'm actually recovering from a cold, to be quite honest. So I'm pretty much have gotten better. It's just my voice, if it gets a little scraggly near the end of this thing, I apologize. I actually have myself my tea with honey to help out a little bit with my throat, but I wanted to get this done sooner than later because tonight is pretty much my only free night that I could do this, that I could record this for a while, and I wanted to just, you know, get this done and out to you guys, for those of you who have been patiently waiting for it. So let's go ahead and start the questions, and I'm going to try to go in the order as they were asked of me, more or less. James Booth. James, hi James. James is one of my more recent viewers, and he asks me, how old are you and how long do you plan on doing YouTube? Right into the age question, James. This is what we're gonna start with. Okay, well, let me put it to you this way. Just recently, James, I had just recently celebrated the 8th anniversary of my 25th birthday. The 8th year anniversary of my 25th birthday, so I'll let you do the math for that. That shouldn't be too hard. And how long do you plan on doing YouTube? I plan on doing YouTube for as long as I can. I don't want to make any promises one way or another. I mean, I'm at a point in my life where I actually have the free time to do so. You know, I'm not married yet, I don't have children, although I do plan on doing both. Plan on getting married and having children, and hopefully my hobby won't completely end. It might slow down a little bit, but hopefully it won't completely end, because I love playing video games, and I might as well record myself playing video games while I continue doing what I'm doing. That's certainly not going to go away anytime soon. So, I mean, really, as long as people like you are out there who enjoy what I do, even if you only enjoy some of the things that I end up doing, I'll try to keep at it for as long as I can. So, I'm not really giving myself an end date, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I enjoy it and I love it, and as long as I keep enjoying it and keep loving it and keep loving video games, I don't see that ever ending anytime in the near future. I'll try to be as active on YouTube as I am able to, with whatever responsibilities I may or may not have. Abzu writes, "Girl, what's up with that hair?" Definitely did not give that comment justice. Well, I guess all of it is up at the moment. All of my hair is up. I'm a pretty big hair person. I'm not saying like hairy like top of your head hair person. Not like, I'm not a bear person. In case people were asking, I don't think anyone was really asking. Anyway, that question just took a turn somewhere that I wasn't really expecting. But you know, there's a lot of things about myself that isn't very stereotypically gay. I mean, I definitely have some stereotypical mannerisms, but in terms of other behavioral things, I was never really that huge in fashion. Like, only recently have I really started paying more attention to buying clothes that fit. Unlike most gay people, I only have really 2 pairs of shoes, the dress shoe kind, and then the everything else kind of shoes. But I guess the biggest stereotype for me in terms of physical appearance with people is hair. Fortunately, my hair's not really gelled up or in particular, which is how I normally like it, and kind of, like I said, I'm recovering from a sickness, people, so I didn't really feel like doing anything with it today. But in terms of on other people, hair's a big deal for me. When I have noticed, it's completely subconsciously been a big deal to me when it comes to how attracted I am to other guys, because I'm not a big fan of guys with long hair, and quite often there have been guys that, you know, I'm friends with, and I don't think they're bad looking. You know, they're not bad looking. I figured, you know, they're handsome enough in the face, but they have really long hair, like either like down to their shoulder length or really shaggy hair. And there have been several occasions when they would get a haircut and get their hair cut really short. And I would, first of all, not recognize them, and second of all, I would be like, wow, you are smoking hot. Like, hair is a big thing, I think, slightly even more so than the face, because yeah, like I said, I've known guys who are pretty handsome in the face, but until they got, you know, a shorter haircut, I didn't really notice them in that way. So I find that pretty interesting. I don't know how many of you have felt the same way, whether it be if you were attracted to men or women. But I don't know, that was just a tidbit of information that I thought I would throw in there with Abzu's question. MrBobbyHuber asks, have you ever thought of doing live streams? This is a good question. So I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and because I'm a big perfectionist, I prefer having the chance to polish and edit my videos. If you notice in most of my videos, I do tend to, if something is taking a little too long for me, I tend to skip over to when I finally like solve a puzzle, because I don't want you guys watching me for, you know, however long it took for me to figure out a puzzle, or however long it took for me to finally make it through combat. I mean, The Last of Us is a pretty good example of, I definitely skipped a lot of long combat that would have been really aggravating for you guys to watch, with death after death after death. Because I'm sure that, you know, my deaths can be funny at first, but when it's just continuous, it gets to the point where it gets really annoying, and those are the kind of things that I like to edit out, just so that it's less painful watching my videos. And sometimes I might want to do other things with my videos, which would require like some editing and some enhancement. So the idea of doing a live stream makes me nervous. I'm not going to say I'm never going to do it, but that's just one of the reasons why I hesitate. I guess I could still, you know, edit it after the fact before I actually officially post it on YouTube. But I don't know, if I ever do a live stream, I'm probably going to start with a game that's really short. Like, I could have easily have done a live stream with Stanley Parable. I could have easily done one with Journey if I really want to. Like a game that would take, you know, under 3 hours for me to complete or beat, I can see myself doing a live stream of. I just don't know how, I just haven't had any experience with it, and I guess, you know, in order for me to experience with that, I should just go and do it and just see what it's like. So I don't know if I would like it or not, but I guess I would definitely like to try and see what I think. I wouldn't necessarily do it for a game like Walking Dead, just because when it comes to games that are a little more emotional, I feel like if I had people messaging me, if I was watching, you know, people sending me messages, it kind of takes me out of the game. It kind of like takes me out of the feel. It takes me out of the zone when I'm doing an emotional game like Walking Dead, and I feel like my reactions and my insight would be a lot better if I could just give my complete focus on the game itself and not worry too much about trying to engage with other people. So that's one of the things that I would be thinking about when it comes to whether or not I would live stream something or not. CallindorCray asked me if I could give an idea of a playlist of that I am, games that I plan on playing in the future, which I tend to normally do with my shoutouts. I didn't do it with my last shoutout because there were enough announcements in that video. But since Callindor, you specifically asked me, I will try to oblige and try to give you a rundown of games that I'm thinking about. Now, none of this is set in stone unless I say so. None of these games are set in stone, but these are things that are in my radar. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get into them anytime soon, if ever. But there are definitely games that I'm watching to see if I may or may not decide to LP it. So I'm going to start with, Callindor specifically wanted to know about games that other people have suggested or recommend to me, in addition to games that I have, for myself, been looking at and trying to decide if I wanted to LP. So I'll try to do both. I'll start with games that other people have been asking me to do. And I feel like with this first couple ones, I'm going to be breaking a few hearts. So bear with me. Any of you who have watched my journey, the first episode of my Journey LP, already knows about this specific game. But definitely the most asked for game for me to LP from my viewers is Skyrim. Discord Fangirl was one of the most recent people who asked me about Skyrim. And here's the thing. I wasn't a huge fan of Skyrim, to be quite honest. Like, I recognize that it was a good game. I recognize why a lot of people love it. But it just wasn't really my type of game, for a number of reasons. One, it is a open world game, and from past experiences, open world games have not really engaged me enough. Mostly because open world games can have story, but I think the story has just not been good enough for me personally. There's the unfortunate thing, I think, is that it's really hard to be able to tell a well-crafted story and give you that much freedom in the world, I'm not saying that the story needs to be linear in order for it to be a good story, because we've seen that's not necessarily the case for Mass Effect games, Dragon Age games, Telltale games, and things like that. Although even in those games, like in Telltale games, a lot of people do complain that a lot of your choices don't matter, because no matter what you pick, this outcome always ends up happening. Well, that may be true, but it still ends up being a pretty darn good story. Like, I would rather have that happen and have a stellar story than the opposite, to be perfectly honest. And that's just me. Story always comes first, and if you're able to enhance that story with choices that help to make some nuances in the story, doesn't completely change the overall flow, but at least helps you make enough of a personal fingerprint, add your own personal fingerprints to make it your story. Even if the story doesn't change dramatically based on your choices, it still feels like your story, But getting back to Skyrim, the story in Skyrim was okay. It just, I didn't really care for it as much. I played Skyrim for about a week, and after a week I was actually pretty bored. Because I'm not huge on... I'm less about exploring. I know there's a lot of appeal for people about exploratory games, and I just don't have that. I just don't have that appeal, really. It needs to have a really good story. And yes, I understand that part of the fun, a lot of the story is by exploring and finding all these side stories, all these side quests, and discovering things. I get that. But it still wasn't enough for me. The other thing that Skyrim I had an issue with, which is probably going to be an issue that we'll have in another game that's the next game that is most requested, which I'm going to get to, is that one of the things I love about RPGs like not only the BioWare RPGs but also a lot of the Final Fantasy RPGs is that you travel in a party. You have this idea where you have this group of people, and if it's executed well, you develop relations. You develop meaningful relationships with those characters. I've said this numerous times. So if you have an RPG where the main protagonist is for the most part alone, you know, a lone wolf, I don't enjoy the story as much because I really love actually engaging with other characters and having them, you know, developing friendships, developing even, you know, romances even with those characters. I mean, Final Fantasy VI, like I said, had a lot of really great romances going on between two of those characters. I'm not going to give it away for those of you who haven't played Final Fantasy VI. And in Final Fantasy X and a lot of other things. Like, those are the kind of things that I really enjoy. And that was one of the reasons why I liked playing Deus Ex, but I didn't love playing Deus Ex Human Revolution. Because, again, you're pretty much going all down alone, and yes, you have characters that are backing you up, like Farida Malik, and what's his name? Again, I can't remember his name, but he's the professor. I call him Snape, the Snape guy, scientist guy. You do have them backing you up, but it's not the same. It's not the same as, you know, the companions that you have in Dragon Age Origins, or the companions you have in Mass Effect. Those are the kinds. I think I've been so spoiled by that when an RPG doesn't have that, I miss it. And I think that's what happened with me in Skyrim, is that I missed it. You can have a companion follow you, and you can even marry a companion, but it's still not the same. You don't really get to know them or have a conversation with them. It's very shallow, and that for me leaves a lot to be desired. And so I make it a point that when I LP a game, I have to actually enjoy the game, or at least hope that I enjoy the game, or think I'm going to enjoy the game. And since I didn't really like, you know, if I don't really like the game as much, I don't think my commentary is going to be nearly as good. And if my commentary is nearly not as good, you guys probably won't appreciate the video as much. So, I apologize again for all of you people who really wanted me to do Skyrim, but I don't think that I would be able to do the game justice. And there are plenty of other LPers out there who do Skyrim who I'm sure would have, who I'm sure are doing a much better job than I ever would with Skyrim. So that's the reason for that. And the second most asked for game is the Witcher series. I'm not sure about The Witcher. We'll see. I'm not going to say no to The Witcher. It's just, from what I have read, I don't think that The Witcher has a party per se. And if it doesn't have a party, I don't know how interested I will be in it. I don't know how engaged I will be in it. I could be wrong. I could find it very engaging. I know that you can develop pretty strong relationships with a character or two in the game, possibly more, but I don't know. The Witcher is still up there, it's still up in the air. It's not a game that I'm like running towards right this moment. Like, there's other games on my list that I want to get to first, but you know, unlike Skyrim, I haven't completely written Witcher off of my list yet, especially with the next Witcher coming out as well. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it. Another game that people have been asking me for is BioShock Infinite. This is a huge game. Big game. A lot of people love this game. Anton Malkovich was one of the most recent people who asked me to play BioShock Infinite. I think I will enjoy BioShock Infinite, except for one thing. It's first person. And as I explained in my Deus Ex Revolution, first person, for some reason, it's gotten to the point where I get really nauseous, nauseous and significantly dizzy when I play first-person games. And I had this problem with Deus Ex, and it helped a little bit when I changed the view a little bit. There was an option where I could change something, and it helped a little bit, but it didn't make it go away completely. Stanley Parable actually hit me pretty hard. Like, I liked Stanley Parable, and if it wasn't for the fact that it was such a short game, like I could play it in short bursts, I probably would not have been able to get through it as much as I did, because that game, I don't know what it was about Stanley Parable, but within 10 minutes, I was already like feeling like I needed to throw up. Like it got really bad. So I only was able to really play, I could only stand playing Stanley Parable for 30 minutes at a time, and I really had to stop. Because I was just getting really nauseous and really sick, and one time it got so bad that I stopped the game, and the next morning I was still feeling dizzy. I still felt remnants of nausea from playing the game. And so with Bioshock Infinite, because of the length of the game, I don't know if I would be able to get through it. And I'm the kind of person who likes to start things. I'm the kind of person who always finishes what he starts, and if I don't think I'm going to be able to finish a game, I probably won't start it. So I don't know. I don't know about Bioshock. Like, I know people have been saying great things about it. I just don't think I can get through it. I was telling myself that after Deus Ex Human Revolution, that was probably going to be the last time that I would be able to play a first-person game like that for that long. So we'll see. BioWare Fan 7 had asked me about the Fire Emblem series. Now, this is really interesting. For those of you who aren't familiar with Fire Emblem but have played some of the more recent Super Smash Brothers, Roy and Marth, and there's one more character I don't remember, but at least Roy and Marth, I think, were characters from the Fire Emblem series. I don't know too much about it, but because, you know, I'm not opposed to playing the game, and to trying it out just for my own curiosity. But I probably won't be getting to it anytime soon, because again, there's a lot of other games that I want to get to first. Dark Atlas 1990, this is a fairly recent request, asked me about Warframe. Apparently this is a game that's similar to Mass Effect, only faster. It apparently has great lore. Sounds like a pretty good game. I haven't done enough research on it, but if there's a party, I definitely will greatly consider it. If there's a party dynamic in it, sure. I'm not sure if it is, but you know, it's something I'm gonna keep an eye on. Lord Demitel also just recently gave me another interesting suggestion. Bound by Flame. It is another fantasy game that he says is a mix between Dragon Age and Witcher. I started looking up on it, and there do seem to be companions, so it does seem kind of promising. It sounds, in theory, like a game that I would be interested in. It's by a company called Spider something, and I don't have much experience with that company. I don't think I've ever heard of that company. That's not to say that I don't think that they would have made a very good RPG game. It's just because I don't have any experience, there's always that, you know, whole unknown thing that goes into starting to play a game. So that's a game I'm going to keep an eye on. Can Droop suggested a game that I actually am very interested in trying, very interested in playing, called Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. Brothers, from what my research has told me, is a game where you play, like the title says, two brothers. You play two brothers, and you can actually control them at the same time with the controller. Like, I think you control the one brother with the left side of the controller and the other brother with the right side of the controller, I think. And you control them both together to solve puzzles. I don't know what the story is, but apparently it actually is pretty deep and emotional. And again, those are all ingredients in a game that I think I would greatly like, especially with an indie game. So Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, I think, is definitely going to be something that I plan on playing very soon. Another game that a lot of you guys have been asking me to LP is Mother 3. I definitely would love to play Mother 3, because I love Earthbound, as you know. I mean, that's the reason why I wanted to do the VA Let's Play of it, the voice-acted Let's Plays, because I love Earthbound. And yes, unsurprisingly, pretty much everyone who has asked me to LP Mother 3 are people who have been watching my VA Let's Play Earthbound. Now, the only thing is, people have been asking me if I was going to also voice act Mother 3. And the answer is, unfortunately, probably not. And this is why. Let me explain to you why. The reason why I feel like I was able to handle voice acting Earthbound is because I've already played Earthbound. I already know what's going to happen. I know the entire plot. I know almost all of the ins and outs of the game. And therefore, it's easier for me to be able to write original content for it, to write dialogue for it and stuff like that, and make jokes, you know, write the jokes for it, because I know what's coming next. And it's easier for me to make, you know, ongoing jokes on something, you know, when I know that such and such an event is going to happen, either in the story or to a specific character. So, you know, it just makes it a lot more effective. When I'm going into a game blind, and that's the thing, if I'm going to play Mother 3, I'm going to want to LP it blind, because I can, because I prefer LPing blind games, because I feel like I get much more meaningful reactions when I do, and I prefer watching blind LPs myself as well, although I do make certain exceptions for certain games and for certain LPers. But yeah, and because I'm going to be LPing Mother 3 blind, it's going to be a lot harder for me to, you know, to voice act that, because I don't want to get spoiled of anything. If I'm working with people that have played the game before, and a lot of voice actors volunteer because they played the game and they enjoyed Mother 3, like, you know, I don't want to get spoiled accidentally. And I just feel like I won't be able to enjoy the game as much if I have to stop and, you know, in between, if I have to stop between playthroughs to, like, go through all the many hours of editing and recording and, you know, writing down dialogue. Like, I'm not going to enjoy the game. You know, my first experience of Mother 3 is just going to be not as optimal as it can be. And, you know, that's not fair to me either. So if I'm going to play a game for the first time, I want to enjoy it. And in order for me to enjoy it, I have to pretty much be given the ability to play through it continuously as much as I can and not have to worry about stopping to voice record, to handle voice recording for it. So unfortunately, yes, the good news is, yes, I do want to LP Mother 3. The bad news is, no, I don't think I'm going to be voice acting it. But I want to voice act other things. Once Earthbound is done, there are 2 games right now which I keep debating. Depending on the week, it changes which game I'm going to be voice acting next. I don't want to reveal it right now. I think I kind of alluded to it on a few other videos that I've done, which of the 2 games I'm going to be planning on voice acting next. But you'll get more details about that, as well as audition information when the Earthbound one finishes. So let me get through one at a time. That being said, there's also a fan-made game of Mother 4 that I think is about to be released, if it hasn't been released yet. And I've been following that a little bit, and it looks like it's very exceptionally well made. I would definitely love to LP that too, after I LP Mother 3, whenever that's going to be. I don't know how soon. But in terms of games that I have on my plate that I came up with myself on my own, Portal. I think I've been wanting to LP Portal for like the last year and a half, and I haven't gotten around to it. And I think I've had the game like 3 years prior to that, and I have never touched it. Still to this day, I never touched it. I'm going to play Portal. That is going to be the next game I'm going to play, is Portal. and then hopefully I'll be able to go into Portal 2, because it's a short enough game, and I figure it's a game that I really need to play. It is first person, but again, it's short, so I think I can get through it. But we'll see. We'll see how we'll see how quickly I can get through that. Another game I really want to LP is a game called Dust: The Elysian Tale, excuse me. Been hearing a lot of really great things about it, especially from my LP friend Shally. It seems like a really cool game. It doesn't seem like it takes that long to beat. I think I'm gonna have fun with it. It's another indie game, because again, I seem to be in some sort of an indie kick, so I think I will have fun with that one. Speaking of kicks, with all the Telltale games I've been playing, I definitely want to start playing some of the other Telltale games. And I've mentioned this before, but I do want to play the Back to the Future game by Telltale, because I love the movie, one of my favorite movies of all time. And yeah, I've been told by other fellow Back to the Future fans that it was a very well played game. And this is a game that was created before The Walking Dead, and I don't think it has as many decisions as The Walking Dead or Wolf Among Us has, but I think it's still going to be, as a fan, huge fan, I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot. I had just done Beyond Two Souls a few months ago, and Quantic Dream, the company who did Beyond Two Souls, did another game before that called Heavy Rain, which I actually personally like more than Beyond Two Souls, even though I still enjoyed Beyond Two Souls. Heavy Rain I still loved more, and because I love that game so much, and because there's a lot of people out there who I think have not experienced the game at all, I would like to LP it for them. Reclusiarch, I think, is one of my LP buddies who has heard a lot of good things about the game, but I don't think he has a PS3, so he's been waiting for me personally to LP Heavy Rain, and I definitely would like to do that, so that's something that I'm definitely looking forward to trying. Another game that, this is a game that actually a bunch of people have recommended, and I'm very tempted to give it a try, is the Persona games, the Persona series. Not really sure if I should start with Persona 3 or 4. I think people told me that starting with 3 or 4 is good enough, like I don't have to go all the way back to Persona 1. So, it has a very interesting concept. I think, I don't know the story all that well, but it's like you live your life during the day like a high school student. I think you live as a high school student during the day in the game, and then at night you go into a video game. Either your brain gets sucked into the video game and you play in the video game, or something like that. Your persona in the video game. It's a really neat concept, and I think that it would also spark a lot of really interesting insight on my part. This is the kind of games that I think about, is if I play this game, is it something that I think I can come up with good commentary or insight on. And I think that Persona, I'll probably come up with some... I think it would be a really interesting game for me to discuss while I'm playing. So, Dead Space 3 is a game that is first person, but I'm making an exception. I know I just said that I wasn't going to do a game that's longer than Stanley Parable's first person, but this is an exception because a lot of people have been wanting me to co-op this game with Shally. I think I've mentioned that before, several months ago. And I had so much fun LPing a scary game, Resident Evil. I played Resident Evil 6? I think Resident Evil 6. Resident Evil 6, I think, with Shally, and had a blast, because we're two incredibly huge scaredy cats. And I think us, playing a game like Dead Space 3 together, I think that'll be ridiculous fun, that I would be able to get over whatever motion sickness I get. I mean, I'm going to have to just suffer through it. Maybe I'll be so scared that it'll distract me from my nausea. That's what I'm hoping. So that's definitely something that will be coming up eventually. I'm not putting a date on it yet because it's pretty much whenever Shally's ready. She's still going through Dead Space 1, and however long it takes for her to get through Dead Space 1 and then Dead Space 2, and then be ready to play Dead Space 3, that's something that we'll be doing eventually. But, you know, how soon, I have no idea. Other games that I really would like to try to play, Tomb Raider. I've heard a lot of good things about Tomb Raider. That's something that I thought I would be really cool. The Uncharted series. I have actually never played any of the Uncharted series. I would love to do the trilogy, the entire trilogy if I can. Mostly because Nathan Drake is really cute. No, that's not the only reason. Okay, that's part of the reason. But I mean, no, it's not the only reason. I've also, because I've heard it's a very good game. It's very Indiana Jones-ish, and it's just a really fun action game. I love action. I like action movie cinematic games. I'm a sucker for those kind of things. And I haven't played one of those in a while. And I think Tomb Raider has a very Uncharted feel as well. I probably would play Uncharted before I play Tomb Raider, if I would play Tomb Raider. So, there's that. So, those are some of the games that are on my radar. I don't know how soon I'm gonna play certain ones. I mean, like I've mentioned that I want to play Portal. I mentioned I want to play Dust and Heavy Rain and Telltale's Back to the Future. Those are most definite games that I will be playing at some point, hopefully within this year. Hopefully before Dragon Age Inquisition comes out, which I'm gonna get to in a moment, because that's part of the next question that somebody's gonna ask me. But yeah, just so you guys have an idea of what's in my mind right now as to what I am planning on playing.